Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of Professor Jiang Xueqin. He's a guy who stumbled into internet fame and had a golden ticket to massive wealth right in his hands. But instead of cashing in, he decided to slam the door shut. And we're going to figure out exactly why.
I mean, it's a question that just flies in the face of pretty much everything we're taught to chase after, right? Why on earth would someone who has a clear shot at getting rich just say no? Well, Professor Jiang's story gives us a really compelling and very personal answer.
And just so you get the scale of what we're talking about, one of his viewers actually did the math. They figured out that the professor could have pulled in over $20,000 in a single month, and that's just from ad revenue. That's not even counting sponsorships, brand deals, the whole shebang. He's looking at all that and actively choosing to leave it on the table. So to really understand why, we've got to first look inside his head at the framework he uses to make these big life decisions. It's this fascinating clash between what he calls a dream and a much, much deeper vision.
Okay, so for him, everything boils down to this hierarchy of priorities. And the order is absolutely critical, it's non-negotiable. Number 1, love his kids and build a real legacy for them. Number 2, protect his intellectual and creative freedom at all costs. And then number 3, educate as many people as he can. Now, making a bunch of money from his channel might help with number 3, sure, but he's convinced it would completely sabotage the first 2 more important goals.
And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea for him. Oh no, this is a lesson that he learned the hard way, after a totally unexpected and kind of wild run-in with wealth in his past. His financial life was, well, a total roller coaster. One minute, he's broke and living in his parents' basement. The next, he's suddenly flush with cash after launching this innovative new high school program. But that wealth, it very quickly led to him feeling completely disillusioned. And we're not just talking about being comfortable here. This was pure, over-the-top excess. We're talking daily sashimi and red wine, 3-hour Michelin star lunches, losing money at poker in Vegas. But you know what he found? When winning at poker started to feel meaningless, so did the money. All that luxury just left him feeling hollow.
So his big takeaway from that whole chapter of his life was crystal clear. Wealth didn't bring him peace. It actually brought him a ton of anxiety. For him, going back to a simpler life, even being broke again, wasn't a failure. It was a genuine relief. Okay, so if money wasn't the answer, what was? This is where we get to the real emotional heart of his story. This is the turning point that totally redefined his priorities and really his whole definition of what it means to be successful. It was his family. Meeting his wife and having their first child gave him a new anchor, a real turning point. All of a sudden, his choices weren't just about him anymore. They were about the kind of example he wanted to set for his kids. And this next part is such a pivotal moment. He poured his heart into writing a book, thinking it was going to be a huge hit, and it flopped. But his wife helped him see it completely differently. She asked him, "Didn't our son see you working hard on something you believed in? Didn't your own mind grow during the process?" And right there, he learned to measure his success by his integrity, not by how many copies he sold. Which, you guessed it, brings us full circle, right back to that YouTube channel. The whole reason he started uploading his lectures in the first place wasn't for fame or fortune. The main audience he had in mind was his own children. He was building that legacy for them, which ties directly back to his #1 priority in life. So with this new foundation built on family and integrity, let's get really clear on the philosophy that's guiding him now. It's all about choosing a totally different kind of wealth. And he makes this incredibly powerful distinction here. Monetizing his channel, becoming famous, that could absolutely help him achieve a lifelong dream of opening his own school. But he realizes it would come at the cost of his core vision, those 3 priorities we just talked about. And for him, the dream just isn't worth sacrificing the vision. You know, there's also this really practical external pressure that's reinforcing his decision. His wife warned him about something called the point of no return in China. Basically, it's this belief that once your wealth crosses a certain threshold, you can't operate anymore without political connections. And getting those connections would mean giving up the very intellectual and creative freedom that is his #2 priority. I mean, this is his conviction in its rawest form. He even mentions how the actor Rob Lowe once said fame freezes you in time, like a photograph. For the professor, chasing wealth and fame isn't growth. It's a trap. It leads to stagnation. And he chooses to flourish, to keep evolving, or nothing.
All right, let's put all the pieces together. Let's look at how he manages to stand so firm on this, even when he's staring down all the perfectly logical, rational reasons to just cash in. And it's not like he's blind to these arguments. He gets it. He knows fame can disappear overnight. He thinks about all the practical stuff we all worry about, setting up college funds for his kids, saving for retirement, owning a home. But here's the kicker. This isn't his first rodeo. He has faced this exact same kind of choice before. Way back in 2012, he was at the very center of this booming college prep industry, and he chose to walk away from it precisely because it had turned into a massive money-making machine. And his metaphor for that decision is just, wow. He actually compares it to Lord of the Rings. He saw that the industry had become this corrupting influence, like the One Ring, and he chose to toss it away, even though it promised him enormous power and wealth.
So why is he so confident he can do it again? Well, his strength to resist temptation doesn't come from feeling like he's better than anyone else. It comes from his love for his family. That love is the armor that gives him the faith, the power to close the door when the devil comes knocking.
So, at the end of the day, it's not really about refusing to get rich. It's about choosing a totally different definition of wealth. It's a wealth that's measured not in dollars and cents, but in family, freedom, and integrity. And that's what makes him happy.
Ultimately, he sees temptation not as some overwhelming force that you can't fight, but as an invitation. It only has power over you if you choose to open that door, and he has every reason in the world to keep his door firmly shut.
And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question to ask ourselves, doesn't it? In a world that screams at us to open every single door of opportunity, what are the things in our own lives that are so valuable, so central to our own vision, that they're worth protecting by keeping a door firmly closed?